Good morning. This is T-Bird Live. I'm your host, Trina Bird, along with my co-host, Rick Bird. How are you today?
I'm good.
Today.
How are
I'm
you?
already thinking evening, so I can...
You're trying to get out of here quickly. Why? We just begun.
No, just been a long week. It's Wednesday, hump day for everybody. So
Hump day.
hopefully the rest of the week will be smooth sailing. It's July 4th weekend coming up. So there's going to be cookouts and everybody's going to be having fun. I saw this little segment on Facebook this morning, and it's like this little three-year-old little girl. She's sitting on the steps, and she's telling her parents are getting divorced, and she's having this long dialogue. I mean, you would have thought she was 30 years old. She was having this dialogue about the heart and how it's important for everybody, instead of going so high and then going real low, and she's putting her hands up high, then she goes down real low. She says we have to be even. We have to be even with our hearts. This is a 3-year-old.
Okay.
She's saying be even with your
there,
hearts,
huh?
right? She's saying mommy needs to get along with daddy, and daddy needs to get along with grandmom, and grandmom needs to get along with grandpop, and she's just going through the whole spiel. And it was just really significant to me because, you know, we're either reaching for something higher than our hearts, or we've hit lower than our hearts,
Rock bottom.
or we're thinking about the things that are lower than our hearts. And this little 3-year-old is just saying, you know, how about we just stay level with our hearts?
Okay.
And then she said, we'll all be happy. So that's my message this weekend. Everybody stay level with your hearts. From a little 3-year-old, I don't know her name, but her mom at the end said, and this was like about a 2-3 minute video. So it went viral. So you can look it up on YouTube or somewhere. I don't know where it was. At the end, the mom just said thank you, and she was just like a light bulb went on. So I hope the dad sees it. I hope everybody sees it.
Okay.
And everybody just stays level with the heart. And then I posted on my Facebook page, imagine if everybody was just putting a lot of emphasis on being happy instead of, oh, this person did that to me, or oh, this person's this, or that happened to me, or just stay in a leveled heart mode and just look for happiness. Just try to work harder at being happy than anything else, because if you're happy, that means better health, less stress. It affects the people around you. And so, and you know, Rick, we have this conversation all the time. I just want to be happy. I just want to, and I remember graduating high school in 1975, telling my age.
Wow.
And somebody wrote in the yearbook, they just want to be happy. They just want happiness. And at that time, I'm thinking, everybody else said, I want to make my mom proud, my dad proud. You know, I want to be successful. This girl said, I just want to be happy. So she probably knew at 17, 18, 19 years old that, you know, happiness is like the core to everything. And it brings all the other stuff, like good health, less stress.
Right, brings all that together.
Right.
But so, it seems like it's really what is touching your heart there.
Yeah, it did. I want to keep it level.
I see a little tear in
your
eye.
Don't even try to go that far.
You know what I mean? But okay, I'm glad. I'm really glad that
at least you're trying to make it happy.
You know, happy.
All right,
yes.
Okay. So let's get started with the show. Well, last week we talked about Microsoft Access, and so this week I actually got a couple of questions from my Facebook audience who were asking me, can't you do the same thing in Excel? And some things you can do in Excel. You don't necessarily need to replace what you're doing in Excel with something new in Access. However, the two things work really good together, and there are advantages of putting your data in Excel as well as advantages of putting your data in Access. So today I figured I would go over a little bit of Excel as a business tool, and then I would show you how to use Excel to create your financial business plan.
Now, is that the stepping stone to going into a higher advanced program such as Access by learning Excel? Is that
good question. I think that if you get the concept of Excel down and you're comfortable with formulas and really structuring an Excel spreadsheet, it'll put you in a formatting mode or I guess formatting is the best word to use. A formatting mode that you now are looking at, okay, how do I format this database?
Right.
How I structure, that's the word I was looking for. If you're getting into a structured mode where you're structuring, like in Excel, you have to structure, you don't have to do too much structuring. It's just a row and a column comes together, makes a cell, and the data is calculated. But it does format you a little bit different than if you were using PowerPoint or Publisher or Word. And so you do get into that mode of structure and formatting. And so you can transfer those skill sets over to Access because, again, you're dealing with fields of information. And they're not called cells, they're called fields. And that just, it just puts you in a mindset that will allow you to develop. Because Excel and Access are more developing tools than they are like with Word. You just sit down, start typing. Publisher, PowerPoint, you just sit down, start. You have to, have yourself a mindset, a goal in mind before you develop the spreadsheet as well as the database.
Okay, so you need a concept that you want to have the ultimate goal.
I wouldn't say concept, because like concept you need when you do Word. Like if you're doing a flyer in Microsoft Word, you need the concept of the flyer. If you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, you need the concept of the PowerPoint to deliver to your listening audience. But with Excel and Access, you need to have an ultimate end goal.
Okay.
Do I want to calculate I'm going to use Excel to figure out what my net profit is on pricing my product. So if my product costs me 50 cents and I sell it for $1, am I making a 50-cent profit? No, you're not, because you're not actually including labor, the cost to make that product, all of that. So Excel is great for something like that because then you can put in all your numerical data and then plug in a formula, and the formula will tell you quickly what the net result is. So that's kind of different than, okay, I got this flyer that looks pretty, it's got all the date and time of my event, blah, blah, blah. With Access, you take it a step further because now you got the data, so now you can import that into a report that you send over to the accountant or you send over to your boss, because now they can take that same data, manipulate it into different types of query reports and things that Access is really good at. Whereas, so to speak, on the Excel platform, it's just a flat file, your rows and columns, you can sort it, you can merge it, but really can you do the powerful reports that you can do using the query function of Access? And the answer to that is not so easy. Excel is complicated. You can do it, but it's complicated. And who wants complication in this world? Because we're going to stay equal and level with our hearts and stay happy. All right. Then we're also going to give some quick Excel tech tips at the end of the show.
And also I wanted to talk a little bit, not to get sidetracked, but go ahead.
When you get your segment, I'll make sure I leave you enough time. Okay, so from a business perspective, Microsoft Excel is the most widely used spreadsheet program in the world. I mean, that's just the program everybody. They had a little bit of competition back in the day called Lotus, and Microsoft kind of stole the concept and made it more user friendly. Because I started out with Lotus before Excel was ever even thought of, and Lotus was very difficult to use. But I did find that once you found out how to use it, you could name your price, because people were paying.
Name your price.
They were paying you whatever you wanted in order to do that spreadsheet for them. They were paying any price to get into training classes to learn how to do Lotus spreadsheets. But Lotus has since gone away. I think it may still exist on some level somewhere, but it's not the prominent.
Like it's still being out there, like being used.
I don't know. I haven't even looked at that in so many years. So, it's the most widely used spreadsheet program. So when you're starting your business, it's very important to keep track of all your expenses associated with your startup for many reasons. And I wanted to go with the business aspect of starting your own business because we're leading into some additional shows that we're going to do about business startup. So that's why I picked that instead of using it in a regular business environment for keeping track of statistical information like most companies do. Most importantly, there are tax deductible reasons why you need to make sure that you keep track of all your expenses for your business, so that at the end of the year you can track your expenses, you know what to submit to the accountant, and you want to walk away with a break even in terms of the IRS. You don't necessarily want to be responsible for having to pay taxes because you didn't keep track of everything correctly. And then, of course, if you're looking to get investors or someone to give you a loan, some type of bank loan or contributions from family and friends, it's a good idea to have a business plan put together, that a business financial plan put together that will allow you to show the big picture of the financial side of things. And I put a little sample display here where we're using our our food truck, and I can't, oh, there's my mouse. A food truck startup expense, and here you see I've noted it looks sort of like a table in Microsoft Word, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and my mouse, oh, there it is again. Go ahead and go through a couple of things that we listed. So we've documented, and this is startup. This is what you're going to spend your money on to get started with the business. So of course, if you're doing a food truck, you need equipment. You need an ANSEL system, fire extinguishers, hood system. It's really cool to be able to document everything that you're going to need in a spreadsheet. And it's sort of like your things to do list as well. So all of these things
like
are listed. Right. And then you can go and put the dollar amount in. I always tell people, when you're doing a startup business plan, always give a description. Because the person that's reading your business plan is going to they may not know what an ANSEL system is. So go ahead and put a more detailed description in. Basic accounting is like the second most important area. Small businesses often use Excel as a basic accounting program, and they'll do their checkbook ledger. And the spreadsheet that we have, or workbook I should say, that we have created, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about that terminology in a minute. But you creating a checkbook register in Excel is something that is big as well in all business platforms, small, medium, and large, because you don't necessarily want to give your QuickBooks access to just anybody in your office, especially if you're a small business. So you can have them document the checks written through creating a simple, very simple spreadsheet for the check register. And one of the benefits of using Excel is that you can also take that same data and create charts and graphs that will give you more detail about, and a visual about, the income that's coming out. So if you do the check register and you wanted to get a visual chart of every check written to Atlantic Electric or any utility company, you can create a formula that will select all those checks written, and then you'll see a big picture of how much you're spending on electricity. So it's really cool in that way. Return on your investment, tracking your total business sales in dollars, along with total advertising, marketing, your products, how much you sell, how much you've taken a loss, determining what your profit margin is going to be, even defining, okay, I spent $2,000 a week for advertising. How is that incorporated into my final net profit? Because that's an expense to do business, and so therefore that has to be incorporated into that final denominator, because it's an expense to do business. And I've shown you here a little spreadsheet that pretty much just does a product detail, cost per item, how much you're marking it up, how many you sold, the total revenue, if you had any shipping, costs associated. That could be any cost associated. We just put shipping here.
Right,
and
transportation.
Yeah,
it could be anything.
It could be anything. It could be, for example, with the food truck
Postage,
business,
you name
the propane.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need gas to run the generator. So all of those expenses incorporated, and they're itemized. And then that's when you determine what your total income is, based on all those expenses being deducted. So that's the primary reason people use Excel, especially when it comes to their sales and their income. The customer data is also important. This is something that a lot of folks will use to Excel to keep track of their customer. But again, I definitely recommend a customer database. Now, many will say, well, Excel is a database, and it is in a sense because it does store data for you as you enter it, and you can manipulate that data, but the manipulation is limited in terms of it being compared to something that you can do in
okay, so that's
Access.
the difference between the two.
So,
Okay, gotcha.
people use Excel because they don't know how to use Access.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to
and
simple.
and you see all of those layers that you got to go through, and like the pop-up templates. Now, like, let me ask you something. Now, if you didn't have, or did you need that background for that? Could you use the Access? If
Oh
you
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
have
yeah.
that?
You could create everything that you have, or you need to create in Excel because that's what you're comfortable with, and then you can import
Oh, okay,
the
great.
data that you created in Excel into Access. And even if you don't know how to use Access, you can, get someone to help you
You mean
import
like
the
yourself?
data.
You can teach them.
I could teach them. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want to do it. I don't.
You do it over the phone?
No, we do the
Or
webinars.
okay.
The webinars. I do it over the webinars. But you can import the data into Access and then manipulate it in any way you can using the features of Microsoft Access. And by the way, you just did some research because I was thinking that Access may be on its way out, and you said that you did a little research, and these classes on Access are
Right. Matter of fact, they're
$400 or
coming in
$500.
on a lot of, yeah. They started $679, and they go in the advanced version $1,197.
Ooh, wow. I mean, Access is a cool program. I hope it never goes away because, like I said in last week's show, the apps are, they're not a fad. They're here to stay, but they got issues. If you know how to use Access and you get problems, you know how to fix it yourself. You don't have to pay somebody to do it. Now, of course, if you pay somebody to create the database from scratch initially and you don't know how to do it, then of course you got to pay somebody to come in and fix it. But learn how to use that program, just like you need to learn how to use Excel. When you're in business, a lot of folks tend to focus in on the product. So, for example, if you're a food truck vendor, most food truck vendors are worried about how the food tastes, getting the best price to make the food, keeping the truck clean, finding locations to park and
Sounds
operate.
like my job.
But you got to have somebody, which is me for our food truck business, that can handle the operational side of that business because that money is critical. It has to be accounted for. The taxes have to be paid. You're collecting sales tax. That's got to be done correctly. You got to document and monitor the money side of the business because if you do not, that business will fail. Again, spreadsheet that I put together for the food truck class that we're about to teach. Here we've actually, like I said in the previous slide, we've actually identified everything. So I want to just go ahead and make note as what I said. You want to definitely document everything. So this is the fire protection system. So again, when you're creating a spreadsheet, you want to be as detailed as possible so that people know exactly
what you're talking about.
Yeah. So the fire extinguishers are required for fire inspection. So these are things that, especially if somebody's reading a business plan, they're going to want to know, well, why do you need fire extinguishers if you have an ANSEL system? Well, it's required for inspections. And, you have to be able to, even if you can pull that ANSEL system and it puts the fire out, it could be fire, that has spread it somewhere else that the ANSEL system doesn't cover. So the fire extinguishers are there for you to blow out fire anyplace else. But I highly recommend having baking soda everywhere in the food truck because statistics prove that throwing baking powder on a fire generated by grease works a lot better, and you don't destroy every piece of equipment in your food truck.
Right, because a lot of times that ANSEL system chemicals they do
damage.
Erode,
right.
Mm-hmm.
So here I've separated it into equipment needed. Then we have mobile unit supplies. You want to flow. You don't want to have in a spreadsheet that's got everything all jumbled up together. Nobody can figure out what the heck is going on.
And nobody wants to read it.
And nobody wants to read it if it doesn't flow. Here's my operating supplies. And what I'm spending on marketing. Again, this is a startup. How to start a food truck business, startup expenses. Okay? So marketing, unit advertising, technology. Do you have a website? If you do, how much does it cost every month? And some things that appear in your startup is also going to appear in your monthly expenses. So it's not redundant. It's got to be there. And then we got total startup expenses. Next, in your business plan, financial plan, you're going to want to project how much money you're going to make. The bank is going to want to know, okay, how do you proceed to make money? So in here, let's say you're doing fish platters. The retail price is $10.90. Okay, you
That's
project
cheap
again.
platter.
Yep. Go ahead and make this a currency. And it actually rounded up. So
Okay.
we're going to go right click. We're going to format cells, and we have currency. The reason it rounded up is because there were no decimal points. So what we have to do is go in and put the decimal point in second place. Okay? So we click OK. Now you see my 1090 goes back. So these are little tips that, you got to find out. There's always YouTube videos. I always tell people, before you take our class online, go see what you can get free on YouTube. All right? So this is our unit price. So here we want to figure out how many we're going to sell for the month. All right? But we really don't have a way of figuring that out. So I'm going to show you how easy that will be. So you insert a column, and you just put in here quantity, QTY. So let's say we plan to sell 100 of them a month, which is very low. Notice this currency. So let's go ahead and highlight, right click. See how I always go back, right click, format cells. So now we're going to go back to a number. All right. We do not want any decimal points. Okay, so it's going to be a number. And I always like to make things look good, so go ahead and center that. Now that we've added that column, quantity, let's go ahead and calculate what our projection for that month is going to be. Now it says month, so let's go ahead and say that's going to be July. So in July, we estimate we're going to sell 100 fish platters at $10.90. So let's get Excel to figure out how much that's going to cost. So remember this formula? So you're going to equal sign, and the retail price is in column B, row 6. So B6, B6. Notice how it highlighted it. All right. Now you're going to use a symbol for multiplication, which is the asterisk, times quantity, which is in column C6. Hit enter. So we're going to make $1,090. We can estimate that for July. If it were to be June, we want to increase. You can go in and put a formula in there, and it could be plus 100. So let's go ahead and copy that formula over. And then we're going to put in plus 100. Look how it easily adds that 100 more. So now it's 119. All right. Actually, it's not. I think we got the formula, the decimals. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, 119,000. Yeah, we did plus 100. So 100 times the 100, the $1,190 is going to be 119. So we're going to be like tripling our sales. All right.
Wow.
And I just pointed out too, I didn't put the decimal for it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly for that one. All right. So there we have it. So you're going to be able to forecast your 3 months of income, and you would do the same thing with the catering. You plan to do like maybe 4 $3,000 catering jobs for the year or for the month. So you can do the estimating. That's your projected income. Then you have your projected expenses. So monthly expenses for your business is going to be all your utilities. So you would list them: propane, because you're a food truck, propane costs, repairs on truck. They don't always come up, but you want to list them just in case they do. We know that. We've had like 2 or 3 repairs in the last unexpected since we started our season in March.
That's all part of the game that one has to play when you're in the food truck business.
So supplies, and go on and you list everything. And again, here you are projecting, so you can put quantity in this area and do the exact same thing. So it's easy. Once you set the first one up, it'll be easy. Next we have these are actual expenses that are projected for the startup. This is actually your actual monthly expenses that you have for each item that you have identified, as we did here. You have identified each one of those expenses, and so therefore, like rent, on where you set your bus to park every night, and your accountant, your attorney, the internet, social media costs, all that. And you just go in and you document every month what the prices are, so that at the end of the quarter, you have totals here that you can give to your accountant, because you're going to have to spend estimated taxes on what you made as income, and you don't want to wait to the end of the year to have to pay all that.
Or do all that.
Or to do all of it. Yes. We also included in here a payroll spreadsheet in case you got to hire anybody. You can go in and list all your employees, calculate the hourly rate, total hours you're going to give them. And then here, under gross pay, Social Security, Medicare, federal withholding tax, you can go ahead and Google what the current rate is or percentage, and you can put the formula in. And then you have your payroll. Not ever spending any more money for a payroll software. You can calculate it. You can put the check number there. And you can put this in a spreadsheet by itself. Because notice these are all spreadsheets in what we call a workbook. So the workbook is how to start a food truck financial workbook for the TV show. So I just did that for the TV show. And inside that workbook is going to be all these spreadsheets. And spreadsheets make up workbook. So imagine having a workbook for your budget, and each one of these tabs would be January, February, March, April, May. So you got a whole year's worth of data in one workbook, but you are separating the individuals. Okay. We also included in here a price margin, so that you can actually itemize your prices for each item, and the description, what it costs you to make that, what your hourly rate is to make it, the time it takes you to make it, and then all the overhead expenses like propane and all that. We teach you how to actually create this spreadsheet so that you can go in and calculate it, so you got a real retail price on what it costs for a load of French fries. A load of French fries doesn't mean that, okay, it costs you 50 cents to buy the fries, you sell them for $1, and now you've made 50-cent profit. No. You have to calculate the gas it took to start the generator, the propane it took to cook it, the seasoning salt you put in it, the container that you put it in, the bag you put the container in, then them ketchup packets that they want 20 of,
They all
of that gets encompassed. So that's where you go in and you add your overhead for the actual product. Right? And there you have it. You know exactly what your prices are for the product that you have actually are selling over the counter, and you have a real true value of what the price is going to be in terms of cost and profit. So there you have it. Guess what? You think about a food truck business or any kind of business. I have developed a slew of spreadsheet workbooks that are pertaining to how to start a business. So I may already have one for you developed, and if you're interested, you just contact us at tbirdlive.com, click on contact us, and we will contact you about your business, because I can't emphasize enough that this administrative stuff, all this stuff that we just went through, especially like monthly expenses, your payroll and product pricing, all that good stuff, you have to maintain that side of the business as much as you do with delivering a great product or providing a great service. Because that can go south if you don't.
Right, and not only that, this applies to any business. If you're thinking about going into business in general, these files and like these applications will help make life a lot easier for you.